So, you've completed the main story, and you've made it all the way to the end. On your journey, I'm sure you've encountered a numerous number of trials, experienced heartfelt moments, and absolutely dripped out your character. Damn, these sets look so good! And yet, at the end of everything, there's only one burning question that remains. What the hell do I do now? Well, for starters, you could just stand in Limsa and show off your pretty character. But that's boring, and you probably have realised it yourself. Where you've grown bored of the sheer monotony of this world. Where you desperately crave stimulation. Something that will rekindle the fire that burns in your heart and make you feel alive. And if that is the case for you, then oh boy do I have the activity for you. Savage Raiding. Or more specifically, Savage Raiding in Party Finder. Also known as literal hell. Where mitigation, just like Viera hats, doesn't exist. And where doing mechanics is clearly optional. From an outside perspective, doing high-end content can seem very taxing and very hard to get into, and you are not wrong. And that was the exact same case for me. As a fledgling healer, I was very anxious about my ability to keep my teammates up, but once I did Savage for the first time, I realised that fear fundamentally did not matter, as raiding in this game is very binary. Either a mechanic straight up kills you if you do it wrong, or you die to a lack of mitigation, two factors which are entirely dependent on your teammates. Now for the boring part of the video, the thing everyone loves, jargon. Okay, someone just posted a macro with all these different letters and you don't know what they mean. Alright, MT is the main tank, who spends the majority of the fight getting their arse whooped and complaining that the off tank doesn't help them. Bruh, a crumb of Aurora. The real OT, is the off tank, who spends the majority of the fight vibing, whilst the main tank does all the work, and I don't know man, that sounds pretty base to me. H1 is the first healer, who is usually a white mage who manages to pass 0 on healing and still do no damage. M1 is usually the first melee, the complainers, with an inferiority complex, so far stuck their own ass, they think that these bosses having these big ass hitboxes is good design. R1 is usually the first range, the masochists, and everyone's bitch. These designations are very important, as they relate to your positions during the fight. Like in this example, Group 1 consists of the main tank, H1, R1, and M1. And during this mechanic, we'll move to the left and hopefully not explode. Knowing what role you are greatly helps with coordinating mechanics, so you know, you all don't fricking die. And understanding this is paramount as it plays into one of the most important things when it comes to doing Savage content, expectations. Knowing what to expect, and being aware of what others expect from you. For your teammates, they'll expect someone who has researched their class and knows their rotation. That's why outside resources like the balance for example, are very useful in learning the ropes. But as a newer player who has no prior experience with raiding, what is it you should expect? Pain, and a lot of it. This isn't a simple 15-minute adventure, no. You are going to take your Devour prog and you are going to like it. And for those who still don't know what I'm talking about, Savage Raids are basically normal mode where the bosses are simply built different. With extra mechanics, higher health pools, and mechanics which will straight up wipe the raid if you do them wrong. So, no pressure. From a glance, these mechanics can seem very complicated, but once you break them down, you'll see that they follow a simple pattern for the most part. Either look at what the boss is doing, spread away from other people, or cling together for dear life. Now that is the gross simplification of all the mechanics you'll encounter. That's why it is both expected and recommended that you've watched a guide. Look man, there's a whole bunch of them, just pick one. For people who have absolutely no idea what they're doing, like your average Scholar player, Hector is a good shout. He illustrates the fight mechanic to mechanic and has a soothing voice to listen to. But be aware, some of his strats are kinda dumb. Okay, you've watched the guide and you have a decent idea of what to expect, but before you can even set foot in Pandemonium, you need gear. That artifact set of yours may be ballin', but those vans are still fake, and you still get no bitches. Okay, so how do I get the gear I need? Buy it off the market board, XD. Rejoice, dear viewer, the barrier to entry in this game is astronomically low, for better or for worse. Also, you should buy food. It increases your stats, persists after death, is inexpensive, and most importantly, increases your HP. By the way, do you know those funny looking coins in your currency tab? You can also exchange those for gear too. There's a little something for everyone. And after all that babble, you're ready to dive into this world of madness. To face the very worst mankind has to offer. To take your first steps into pandemonium.